Welcome back, everyone, to the FloTrack podcast. I'm Kevin Sully, joined by Gordon Mack. FloTrackPodcast at gmail.com is our email address. Special thanks to everybody watching on YouTube. You can find us at the FloTrack Podcast YouTube channel. Gordon, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing good. Charging my computer. I was on like 1% battery, but now I'm good. Now I'm ready to go. Locked in. Excited. 2 more Diamond Leagues coming up this week. We got Lausanne and I believe, is it Paris on Saturday? So back-to-back Diamond Leagues. Never ends. Trackman, it never ends. Keeps going. And then we're like a week away from the start of cross country too. So we won't really be talking about cross country today or tomorrow, but time is going by so fast. I feel like with COVID, everything 2019 feels like last year. It makes 2020 feel like a blur. 2021, I feel like it was yesterday we were, watching Cole Hawker and Wesley Kiptoo in the indoor NCAA champs, right? Coming back and all that stuff. So it's just wild how quickly time has moved. Yeah, that's my take. It's quick how time has moved.
So. Guys, he's off to a hot start here. Comment in the chat if you can on I don't know, races you want to hear us talk about pre-classic. Also, we're going to talk about Lausanne at the end of the show. But we should mention right now, we're moving our Friday show to Thursday. So the Friday show is going to be Thursday post Lausanne. So after the Lausanne Diamond League at around 2:45 Central Time, we will record live here on YouTube, and also it'll be archived, obviously, for those of you who listen to it on regular audio podcast platforms. So we'll be doing the Friday show on Thursday. So we'll have an immediate reaction to that Lausanne Diamond League meet, which is going to be great. And I said we're gonna talk about that at the end of the meet. But we're getting Elaine Thompson-Herah and Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce again. We're gonna get Carson Warholm in a flat 400. We're gonna get a scintillating men's 200. We're gonna get a really good men's 3,000, women's 400-meter hurdles with 3 of the best 4 women in the world. It's going to be a very, very good meet. So we wanted to go live right after the show. So, Gordon, credit to you. That was your idea.
You're welcome. Basically, we're going to try to do this every time there's a track meet during the week, right? If it happens to be during the week, why wait the extra day? We can just go live right after in the middle of the afternoon. So that's the plan. But then next week, we'll go back to Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So.
Yeah, exactly. It's fun. It's fun to do them right after when people are still amped up on what they saw and everybody wants to discuss it and break it down. Because then if you wait a whole day, or if it's on a Friday night or something, and then you have to wait, or Saturday, you have to wait 2 whole days. Like it took you, we had to wait pre-classic 2 whole days. People are chomping at the bit to hear about that.
They were upset. They were upset.
They were mad
they thought
at you.
We were they were like thinking that we were trying to hide. I was like, no, it was the weekend, man. I was floating the San Marcos River. I'm sorry, I didn't have internet connectivity at that moment. So, if you can get a podcast, you can get a podcast studio out in the middle of the river, right next to my floating tube, then maybe I could have done it. But at that moment, I couldn't do that. So, next time I should be more prepared. But if something happens on a Saturday that's not the Olympics or the U.S. trials, we're going to talk about it on Monday. That's basically how it works.
Or if you're bored and I don't have to go to a 4-year-old birthday party like I did last weekend, then that will change 100%. Let's go back into pre real quick. I wanted to discuss some under-the-radar stories, some stories we didn't get to, some results that we didn't discuss on the last show that we had because we spent a good chunk of time on that women's 100. And of course, we touched on the men's 200 quite a bit in the men's mile. But going back to the women's 100, we wanted to talk a little bit about Tiana Daniels, who finished 4th in that race behind Thompson-Herah, Fraser-Pryce, and Shrika Jackson. She runs a lifetime best of 10.83 in that race. And Daniels, because all the attention is going at the global level to Thompson-Herah, Richardson, and Fraser-Pryce, Daniels is not necessarily getting the attention. But over the last few years here, Gordon, she's put together some pretty impressive results. Twice she's come up real clutch to qualify for U.S. teams in 19 and 21. She's made finals in both the World Championships in 2019 and the Tokyo Olympics in 2021. That 10.83, that's a big PB for her. Drops down from 10.98 that she ran in Tokyo. What have you thought of Tiana Daniels' last couple of years here? Still only 24 years old.
Yeah, it's been incredibly consistent. She has been able to, one, always run well at the most important moment, which would be qualifying for a global team. And she's shown that by having kind of not even under the radar, kind of just like nowhere to be seen type regular seasons where she's running like 11, 15, 11, 10. And then when it comes to the US champs, that's when she throws down her 10.99, 10.98 in the final. That is just good enough to be top three. And she's been doing that consistently. Look back in 2019, right? Where she was thinking like, this is my year to win NCAAs on my home track for Texas, senior year. And then Sha'Carri Richardson comes in and runs an all-time mark, and she doesn't get that moment. But then 2 weeks later, or I'm not sure if it's 2 weeks, but however close USA's was to NCAAs, she goes on to make the world team. Sha'Carri gets last in the event. And it just shows that she's able to be consistent. Like, she still was top 3 at NCAAs, and then she goes in and gets top 3 at USA's. She's just really good at getting top 3. Kind of reminds me of Michael Rogers on the men's side, where no one was really talking about Rogers during regular season, but he always finds a way to like make his be on the 4x1, right? He always finds a way to be top 4, top 5. I feel like Tiana Daniels is like, I always find a way to be top 3 in the 100. Whether you count me out, I'm not the big name. I'm just kind of running on the side here, but then on race day, I find a way to finish top 3 in the final, which is pretty impressive. And now she's getting a time to her name, right? Before she was just 10.99, 10.98. There's a lot of women who've been doing that. A lot of college women can do that. But now that she's running 10.83, that just kind of transfers her away from just it takes her to a new tier, right? It puts her in a tier that is, like I would say maybe I'm not sure how I'm doing these tiers. Tier A, I would say, is like all-time greats, like where you're running 10.6s, 10.7s. She's now in tier B, where she's like this era great, where you can run a 10.8, you can run a 10.9 whenever you need to do it, and you can make teams. She's like in that like second tier of I'm good for this era, which is hard to do. Not many people do that, right? It's hard to be consistent in making global teams, especially in sprint events where there's injuries, there's young people coming in and out, always different. It's hard to be a mainstay in the short sprints. And so far, coming off her college career, she's been staying consistent, right? And if she's this consistent, you got to think she's going to make the 2022 team, the 2023, the 2024, 2025. And if you're making like 5+ straight global teams, that's a hell of a career.
Yeah. It's just tough in this era because you mentioned the 2 all-time greats, right? And that's where we're at in the women's 100. It's a tough time to be in that event when people are running 10.5s and 10.6s. So we'll see next year. It looks like it's trending even faster next year. So we'll see. But if we go back even a little bit in time, 10.8s are really good. 10.8s can get you medals a lot of the time. And maybe just as it was wild that things got super duper fast this year, maybe during that window that you're talking about, things won't go as quick. Maybe we'll hit a point and then it will settle down a bit. And if she can get into the 10.7s, then you're looking at medals. But it's just tough to forecast. But I think the consistency is the key part here, right?
Yeah, it's showing up when it matters most. It's not putting out a flash fast time in April, or it's able to run fast at the right moment. She's been doing that, and she's now proven it. I guess it's only been 2 years because 2020 didn't count, but she's ever since she went pro, she has yet to have like a bad year. which is good. And it's been 3 years now, so pretty good.
Yep. Yeah. I want to jump over to the distance here, the distance side of things. Your favorite event, the men's 800 at Pre. Again, we've had 2 big meets in a row. One the Olympics, and then now the Prefontaine Classic, where the result was really indicative of just how unpredictable and wide open the men's 8 was. Obviously, in Tokyo, you had Emmanuel Carrier winning that tactical 800. Here you had Marco Arop going from last to winning the thing. What is your opinion just on the state of the men's 800 right now after what we saw at Pre and the Olympics?
I think some people would say this. It used to be the 1500 could be the wildest finish, right? Because everyone thought they had the best kick. They go out slow, and then it's just positioning. Last 200, who has it, right? But the men's 1500 is kind of slowly morphed with the emergence of obviously Jakob and Cherio, and even the younger guys like Oliver Hoare, McSwain, and a few others, Josh Kerr, who aren't doing the whole I have the best kick in the field, I'm just going to go from the gun. And basically that turns the 1500 into purely, if you finish it, the order of top 5 is clearly talent-based. And it's like, you deserve first, you deserve second, third. 800, it's literally a dice roll every single time because you're having people who have the ability to run 142 running 145. And when you take away, when everyone is running 3 seconds slower than what their ability is, for some people even 4 seconds slower than their ability, it just opens up a world of chaos where anyone could go in. Anyone can win. Anyone can get dead last. You see people get dead last in one race, and then the next race they'll win, and vice versa, win and then dead last. And it just kind of shows that, it's almost like, does winning or losing even mean anything in the 800? Because clearly, nothing matters when you can win, lose, back and forth. You could argue, I guess, winning a championship race that mattered, like a Tokyo final or a U.S. final or another country final, matters something. Matters, but we're just seeing the chaos that, I'm trying to think of an example. It's like winning in poker. It's like winning in poker. There's going to be luck involved. It's like, yeah, you're good at poker, but you needed to have that good hand that you got, aka that good position that you got because of the way the cards were dealt for you. And I feel like we're just watching a poker match every time we're watching an 800. We're seeing people who have pocket aces because they're in great position with 200 meters to go. Where I see people who have 7-2 offsuit because they're boxed in and they're, no matter how fast they can run, even if they don't have the best kick, it doesn't matter because they have no real estate to close. So I just think the 800 is like poker right now.
But I'm assuming you think that changes once Brazier comes back if he's 100%.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, it should, because Brazier doesn't really do the 145s anymore. He's kind of like, I'm just going to go out in a 49, 48 every time. I mean, he would do I go out in 52 to kind of just practice for practicing purposes. But when he got into Diamond Leagues, he wasn't trying to go out in 52 ever. He was always, I'm going to go out in 50 flat at worst. So when you have that, yes, it gets faster. You just need, in order for the 800 to be truly the best man won, you just need it to go out in 49 seconds. That's what you need. Because once you do that, it strings it out, and then the best man wins. And sometimes the best man can win a tactical race and a non-tactical race, and it works out. Like Emmanuel Carrier, even though that was a fluky race, he's still a talented runner. He ran 142. He's him winning wasn't this event is stupid now because Emmanuel Carrier won, But this event does have history of having weird winners, right? We saw Pierre Boss, right? And was that 2017 when the Frenchman won? People weren't expecting that. They're expecting, a Nigel Amos or someone else. We need the 800's good when you have the David Rudisha come in every time, keep it honest, and then everyone is going. We just didn't have that this year. And maybe we'll get it next year. I'm sure Brazier's watching this being like, come on, guys. We need to have more 142s in our
You don't think he likes
seasons.
it? You don't think he likes the fact that these races seem winnable? And there's not someone else cranking out 141s? Okay.
I think he's indifferent. I think if he saw a fast race or a slow race, he's kind of like, man, I wish I could be in that race because he knows he's the best. A healthy Brazier changes all this chaos. But yeah, the 800, man, it's just weird. I guess that's the type of event it is, right? Has it always been weird? And we're just thinking that?
When you have a mid-distance race and you don't have a generational superstar in it, then this is what's going to happen, because you brought up the 1500-meter example before. Like when you don't have a Chariot in there or an Ingebrigtsen, I'd say both those guys are obviously all-timers. They just happen to be competing at the same time. Then you're going to get chaotic results. There's a difference between someone coming in as a number one seed, right? And someone coming in as this is going to be one of the best people of this era or the best person of the era. Like, don't confuse David Rudisha for whoever the number one seed was coming into the Olympics this year. That's different. But I think sometimes we blend them together too much in our head of, well, they're the favorite, they should probably win, when there's different levels of favorite here. And just as with the 1500, you take 2016 versus 2021 in the Olympics, you get two wildly different results just based on the personnel that's running. And I know 2016 obviously had some great runners in it, but look at what just look at the style with which, because it has to do with styles too, right? The style with which they run has to be compatible with their best path to success, meaning Chariot's a front runner, right? He wants to get out there and front run. Rudisha was a front runner. But like I think we take that stuff for granted and then when it's not there, we're saying, wow, it's wide open. Well, yeah, everybody else is really close. Those people are just transformationally good.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I'm excited for the Diamond League final. I mean, it's going to be another one of those who's going to win. It'll be interesting to look at like how many times the person who wins the Diamond League will have losses. Like how many different winners of notable 800s will we have? So if we take every Diamond League 800, how many different Diamond League 800-meter event winners will we have? Well, I mean, I'll look it up. I'm not sure how many people have won the Diamond League so far.
Yeah.
It's going to be a hard thing to look up, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I got my next question for you. Are you ready?
Yeah. Hit me.
Stop Googling. I'm sure it's a big number. We'll figure it out. I
stopped Googling. I need your full... My hands are here. I'm not Googling anymore.
I want to know what your men's power rankings are. Just say the season ended right now in the men's 100 for the U.S. Because we talked about DeGrasse last time. We said he's the best men's combo 100, 200 guy in the world. But second to him at the Prefontaine Classic was Fred Curley, who ran 9.78 wind aided, but just behind DeGrasse. So if we just pretend that the season ended right now, which it's not, so we have to reserve the right to change our opinion. Going into 2022, what would be your ranking for U.S. men's 100-meter runners?
Going into 2022. Okay.
Yeah. So here's who you can choose from.
Well, I can choose from anyone, right?
Right. Well, you can go. I'll give you some names. I'll just give you some names.
Okay.
This is how they finished it pre. Curley, Baker, Bromell, Norman, Gatlin went 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have Noah Lyles. You also have Kenny Bednarik, and you have Christian Coleman coming back. Those are some notable names.
And I can pick DeGrasse as well, right?
No, Americans.
Oh, do Americans. Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. Americans. So what's my American top 5?
Top 5. Yep.
In the 100, not the 200, in the 100.
Just in the 100. See, I'm glad I went through all these rules.
All right. This is hard because there's two factors. If you had to do it today, number one would be Fred Kerley. But the question is, if you had to do it a year from now, will Bromell or Christian Coleman, will Bromell find a way to get back? Because I feel like the best of Bromell can beat Kerley. Because we've seen that, right? When Bromell was at his best, he beat Kerley at USA's. And the best of Coleman, I think can beat everyone, right? Because Coleman is world champ in 2019. So the question is, you're kind of betting on the abilities of Bromell to get back to where he was in his June form, or Christian Coleman to get back to his 2019 form. But if neither of those do it, then it's Fred Kerley's mantle to hold on to. So I'm going to go like this. I'm going to say, because Christian Coleman has the bye, because he has that 2019 championship bye, I think he won't need to be as on in the beginning, because this is going to be how I think they're going to finish at USA's. That's what I'm going to say. That's the way, because that's the only time they're all trying, right? I would say, I think it will be Bromell, Kerley, Coleman, Baker, Lyles, Kenny B.
Okay. So that's your rankings? Those are your rankings?
That's my ranking.
Those are your 10 months before the meet rankings. I'm just curious because it's a fascinating question, because you have people going in all directions. You have people coming back from suspensions. You have this whole idea of people switching events, which is way more relevant now than it was before because of what Fred Kerley did. So I think you look at someone like Norman and you take that 100 a bit more seriously, because you're thinking, oh, okay, well, it worked for Fred Kerley. Obviously, he's phenomenal, and what he did was sensational this year. But there's just a huge group of people there. Here's one name, and you mentioned him, but you mentioned him at the end. And I know you're going to say, hey, Kevin, don't dig that hole again. But I'm going to dig the hole again. Watch out for Lyles. Okay? Because 1952. If he's in 1952 200-meter shape, he's going to be good in the 100. Now, his 100s in 2021 weren't his best, but that was also when he was running, the 19.7s and the 19.8s. So if Lyles can stay in that 19.5 range, his 100 is going to be good. Is it going to be good enough to be number one? No, but I would think he'd be able to fall into that top three. So you said Bromell, Kerley, Coleman, your top three?
Yeah, so I'm keeping Bromell and Coleman in the top three because they're the only guys who have run 9.7, right? Bromell's run 9.77, Coleman's run 9.76. Legal. Yeah, legal. And Kerley is my top three because Kerley's been now showing he's Mr. Consistent, right? Mm-hmm. I just, I don't want people to think my order of my top three matters, because it doesn't in my mind. I think the top three, they're all like 1As, but I just have to pick an order. So I went Bromell, Kerley, Coleman. I do think, obviously, because Coleman doesn't count towards the top three, that fourth place spot is going to be huge. It's so hard, because then you also have like these other guys like Marvin Bracey, who's run 9.8.
Baker.
You have Baker, who I mentioned, and then you have like Isaiah Young has run. Didn't Isaiah Young run 9.8?
Yeah,
there's like a bunch of guys who are running 9.8. It's just Michael Williams, who's young. He was born in 2001. He's not supposed to be good yet, right? He still has a few years to kind of get back into what his true peak can be. It's so hard to pick the order. What I want to do is we'll talk about this later, but I think I mentioned this in a podcast a week or two ago. I really want Fred Kerley to run the Diamond League 400 final, which is in September. He's currently ranked 7th in the 400 for the Diamond League standings. So he's on the bubble of whether or not he'll be invited to run in the final. He'll have to run one more 400, do well, and then have a spot in the final. So hopefully he does that. But if he goes in, runs the 400-meter final in the Diamond League in September, wins it. I think he can win it. He can. Wins it. He gets the bye in the 400. So then he can go to USA's with an auto bye in the 400. He runs the 100 at USA's. He qualifies in 100. And then at Worlds, he does the 100, 400 double. And he get medals in both. And then he's eligible to be in the 4x1 and the 4x4. He does like this incredible, like Alison Felix-esque type move where he's in both relays. He's doing both individual events. And that would be like an all-time, like, it'll be hard. I looked into it, though. It's possible. It's possible to do 1-4 double in Eugene. I looked it up. It's possible. Well, and it's even more possible if he doesn't need to worry about running the 400 at USA's because he'll have the bye.
That's going to be hard. I mean, beating Stephen Gardner, who I assume is going to run the Diamond League final, is going to be a tough task. Who's in those? Do you have the results or the standings in front of you? Who's in the top 8 spots right now for the men's 400 for the Diamond League final? Because sometimes people don't run. Superstars don't run Diamond League races sometimes, and you totally forget it because maybe they ran it, but it wasn't the Diamond version of it, or they ran in a Continental Tour, and it just blends together in your mind. And since no one really follows the Diamond League that closely in terms of points, they can go under the radar.
Yeah, and some Switzerland athlete can show up. Yeah, so
yeah.
In first is Zambrano with 15 points, then Karani James with 13, Vernon Norwood with 9, Michael Norman with 8, Dion Lindor with 7 points, David Ree of Italy with 7 points, and then there's a 3-way tie for 7th between Bonavacia of Netherlands, Hudson Smith of Great Britain, and Fred Curley of USA with 6 points. So
he's not even in, right?
No, he should be in. I mean, I don't know how they do the tiebreaker, but he's tied for 7th. So I think they would fill the lanes with 9, and then he'll get in. But the thing is, I think there's one more event that needs to happen, right? And that should break this tie. And Curley finishes top 3 in whatever Diamond League. Not this one, I think in Paris maybe. He runs the 400 in Paris. Boom. Then
it's not on the list. I don't see it. Paris has women's 400.
Well, then it's the Brussels or Zurich. There's one more 400 qualifier. I know that. I looked it up. There's one more.
Brussels and Zurich are the finals, though, right? Or were we just doing Zurich this year? I forgot they changed.
I think there's only one final. There's only one final day. There's not 2 finals. There's one more 400. They haven't run enough 400s. There's one more.
Okay,
I can tell you that right now.
Well, that's the interesting thing there. So hold on. Did you say Gardner's name?
Gardner's not even in there.
Okay. So, but he could get in. He could go and win one, right? And then get enough points to get in. Yeah. But the other interesting name you mentioned there is Norman, because maybe Norman's trying to win it so that way he doesn't need to worry about USA's as well too.
Sure.
Interesting. Okay. And we'll talk more about the Lausanne meet in a second here. Is that, you want to talk about this meet in Hungary? Highlights from this meet in Hungary. That happened yesterday. The floor is yours.
Well, first we want to give it, I found out about the meet because I saw Eli Hall tweet out 10:04, and I was like, Eli Hall just ran 10:04? Where was this? And I was trying to find it. Turned out there was a meet going on in Hungary. And Eli Hall, for those who don't know, he's teammates with Cam Burrell, so he's had a really rough, past few days, week. You see there a lot of the Houston track and field community and a lot of the pro athletes, they're constantly tweeting out like that, they're still trying to get their mind around what just happened. And so Eli Hall now, with all that going on, goes over to Europe. He runs 10:04, which on paper is like, it's not like 9:8 that, all the guys are running, but he beat Marvin Bracey, who's a legitimate person in the US field. And then he goes on and he runs 2011 or 2001 or something like that in the 200, wins that. So he wins the 100 and the 200, which I thought was just pretty cool for Eli Hall. Eli Hall, remember, there was a time when people thought this is the next guy, right? He was in the NCAA during Christian Coleman, and he was going up against Coleman. During that time, he won the 200 indoors. He was very good. I think he almost broke the collegiate record indoors. I'm not sure exactly. But he came on strong his junior year. Did he break it? Did he break the record? He did.
Didn't he break I thought he broke the American record indoors too, I want to say.
Yeah.
That was 2018, right?
2018. He had a good run, and then he was dealing with some injuries, but people thought like, oh, watch out for Eli Hall at USA's. He's like that low key, kind of the way we were looking at Terrence Laird, right? We're like, Terrence Laird, he's going to find a way to make the team. Hall eventually dealt with so many injuries, and he hasn't really been able to get that next step at the U.S. level. But
yeah,
I was really happy for him. Obviously, that whole Houston contingent, you got to feel for what they're going through, and for him to put out kind of a good back-to-back performances that he hasn't had in such a long time, I think is pretty awesome. But the race of the meet was the men's 4x1, where we had, look at this 4x1, Michael Rogers, 9'8" guy, Isaiah Young, 9'8" guy, Marvin Bracey, 9'8" guy. This is a legit 4x1. Guess who was on the anchor? Mr. 800-meter runner himself, Eric Sawinski, was on the anchor of a 4x1 that had 3 9'8" guys. And he didn't do too bad. Now, obviously his 100-meter split's not going to be good, right? But his handoffs were extremely clean. He looked like a legitimate 100-meter runner out there for the first 10 meters, and then you realize, oh, this is a mid-distance runner running 100. But for that first 10 meters, you're like, oh, this guy's got the wheels. He knows how to do the exchange. He got the stick easily around. Maybe worse comes to worse, if the USA is like, hey, we can't drop the stick. They need to call on Eric Sawinski, man, to be that anchor leg. I mean, it won't work because he can't run 9'8". He probably split 11 seconds or something like that. But it was pretty fun to see Eric Sawinski, 800-meter man, it's out there anchoring a US 4x1. And the big question is, how the hell did this happen? Right? How the hell did Eric Sawinski get given the opportunity to be the anchor of 4x1? Do you know? Do you have any idea?
I don't. I reached out. Hopefully we'll know by tomorrow for tomorrow's show, because yes, this is the question of the track season for me. The video is amazing. It's hilarious. The exchange is clean. I love that they put him on anchor, because that's, you put the inexperienced person on anchor, so that way they don't need to worry about passing. They only need to worry about getting the baton and going. But we always associate anchor usually as one of the faster legs in the 4x1. So it's just funny that it fell to Sawinski. He's got a 4x1 PB to his name now, and they beat 2 teams. How many athletes in track and field history have been on a sub 41 4x1 team and run made teams for the US in the 800 or any country in the 800? What's the list?
Not many. I will say there was a team in Pennsylvania when I was in high school, I think called Simon Gratz, and their 4x1 was the same as their 4x8. And both teams were made the final in the Pennsylvania State Championship. Their 4x8 was good. They ran 740. And their 4x1 was making the final. So I was immediately thinking about those guys when I was in high school who were there's 4x1 guys coming out and doing a 4x8. I was like, what the hell's going on? But yeah, we have seen that range in the high school occasionally. But at the pro level, people, I mean, maybe Donovan, who else could be a good 100-meter runner that we don't know about, right? I guess Brazier could probably run a good 100. Good.
Yeah. Who starts really hard? I mean, on the women's side, of Thing Mo would be
Thing Mo, yeah. I feel like that's cheating because she's 400 now. But I guess Brazier's kind of 400.
Yeah.
Who else is?
Imagine I don't know the stakes, but how nervous do you think Sawinski was? He's got 3 guys who are running pretty hard. The exchange, it's not as if they're jogging around. Those guys are out there giving their all. And he's probably thinking, man, I could screw this whole thing up. And I'm going into their event.
He's like, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God.
But now that he's doing a lot of rabbiting lately, right? So he's used to having the pressure of everybody else's performance on his shoulder. So maybe he was the perfect person for this. He's just calm, cool, collected. He knows what the mission is, and he completes it. But yeah, 144 and then a sub 41, that's range. I think we've got to include him in any range discussion henceforth. Eric Sawinski. Clutch.
I mean,
Clutch.
then eventually, he's going to run a marathon probably down the road, right? When he's just like out there and be like, hey, I'm the first ever sub 41 4x1 marathoner you've ever seen. Then he does the ultras, and then he's going to have like the ultimate range. So the ultimate.
You know what I'm thinking about?
Here's a question.
I'm thinking about the scenario where, and this wouldn't work for the U.S. because the U.S. just qualifies so many sprinters, but a smaller country where they bring 6 people in the 4x1, and then something just bad happens to enough of them, and they need to pull somebody up, but maybe they also qualified a 1,500 meter runner or a shot putter or something. Like, I wonder what the protocol would be. I guess you've already entered your team, so you might have to scratch, which would be no fun. They should let you run.
Yeah. We used to do a thing called tanker relays in high school. I'm talking about high school again, where the 4 shot putters, all the schools, everyone's throwers would do a 4x1.
Oh, yeah.
It was fun to watch large men run in a circle. Here's the question. Did Sawinski go to them and be like, hey, guys, I'm your guy.
I'm ready.
I'm your anchor. Like, I'm ready. This is my moment. I was born for this. We saw what happened at the Olympics. We're not going to let that happen. I'm your guy. Was it him going to them, or was it, Bracey, Rogers, and Young being like, yo, Eric, come here. We got a question for you. You've run a few times on the track. Want to be our anchor? And like, who went to who? Was it the 3 guys going to Sawinski, or was it Sawinski being like pitching himself to the 3 guys?
Yeah, I don't like. They look through. Hey, who's the best guy for this of the folks we had available? I don't know why you brought up. They probably ran it because there was an agreement that they needed to run. If they did it just for fun, more credit to them. I think it's sensational.
So here's the thing, though. So I'm guessing they had to do it, right? And whoever was going to be their 4th guy just couldn't do it or whatever. Mm-hmm. So they had to find someone, right? But here's the thing. They chose Eric Sawinski, right?
Did it have to be an American, though? That's the interesting part.
I think they had, well, maybe they didn't know anyone else. Like, they're like, oh, Americans. So let's look. I'm guessing it was supposed to be Eli Hall, but maybe Eli Hall was like, I can't do it because he did the 1, the 2, or whatever. So the question is, what other Americans were at this meet that Eric Sawinski was chosen over? All right. And so if you look at the list, here's who was at this meet. Daniel Roberts was at the meet. 110 meter hurdler.
Yeah.
Aldrich Bailey, 400 meter hurdler was at this meet.
Yeah.
Daryl Sullivan, high jumper. He probably can run a fast 100. And then he had a hammer thrower, Daniel Hall. And that's about it. So Sawinski was chosen over. I know, but Sawinski was chosen over, an NCAA All-American high jumper and Daryl Sullivan. Aldrich Bailey, who's been on the 4x1 for Texas and Texas A&M, and Daniel Roberts, formerly of Kentucky, who's run a sub 13 110 hurdle. And they went with Mr. Eric Sawinski. So
maybe they were back at the hotel already. Sawinski seems like the type of guy who's down for whatever, right? If this was high school, you'd plug him in a whole bunch of events. Wherever the coach needs you, you go out and you get us points. Like that seems to be his mentality, which I love. I mean, he's famous for running virtually every 800 meters that's competitive in Europe every single year and racking up amazing amounts of freaking flyer miles. That's his like. He's not going to shy away from a race. He's not going to shy away from running 3 800s in a week. Why would he be worried about running 100, which was probably just a thrill for him at this point in his track and field. Like, this is a great story. It's also a great trivia question too in the future. Okay. Anything else before I move on to Lausanne?
Were there we have kind of overlooking? I mean, Rebecca Mara has been having a really good run lately. She won that. She's now won back-to-back 1,500/miles. And Josette Norris obviously has also been running really well. I kind of want to give a big shout out to those 2 women, especially Norris, right? Who has been running incredible, like in the 5K all the way down to the 1500. She's been running like all-time marks. But both Rebecca Mara and Josette Norris were not like household names in the NCAA world. Like they may have qualified for NCAAs, but no one was ever mentioning them. They weren't in the NCAA All-American conversation or in rankings or whatever. Yeah. And then now, a few years removed from college, they're putting themselves, Mara, who can, put herself into finals, but Norris, who's now putting herself into all-time top 10 marks. It kind of shows that, like, just what happened, who becomes good in their 22 to 26 isn't really set in stone based off what you did when you were 21 and 20. I think it's kind of interesting how these two women have able to kind of fight through the doubt of maybe I'm not built for the next level, and they fought through it, and now they're clearly showing they are built for that by winning races, by putting all-time marks together. So I just want to do a big shout out to Rebecca Mara and Josette Norris, they're excited to watch, and one of them could make a team, I think, in 2022. You see, there's slowly going to be some turnover. The Jenny Simpsons and Shannon Rowberries of this world and are kind of moving on, right? And then you have younger people coming in, and then you have people who are going to have buys, like the 800 is going to have 3 open spots and not 2, because I think Mo probably will win the. Oh wait, no,
she's not going to. That's why you needed
never
Kate.
Mind, take that back.
You said Kate Grace was going to go win it. That's what you said.
You need Kate Grace to go win it. Never mind. I take that back. But you know what I mean. So maybe a thing Mo runs the 400, and then they can get it.
I wanted to ask again before we go on to Lausanne, because I know we have folks from Jamaica in the chat. This Sha'Carri Richardson story about the Jamaican hotel and the guy who offered a free week stay at the resort. Is this an actual, are we getting to the point with Sha'Carri Richardson with where we were with Bolt, where literally anything they do is a story? Is that where we're at?
I think so. Like, Sha'Carri can order a ham cheese sandwich and be like, ooh, she's anti-turkey, or like, ooh, she's going in hard on ham or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, I saw the story. So basically, to recap, a Jamaican hotel owner, apparently offered a free vacation to stay at their hotel in Jamaica. And Sha'Carri then, a few days later, posted Instagram tweets or whatever. Instagram tweets, I sound like I'm 50. Posted Instagram stories of her staying there. And then people were kind of dunking on it because that hotel is not like a nice hotel. So people were like, it's like if it would be like, would someone who stays at would it be like a Holiday Inn Express hotel manager offering Elaine Thompson a stay to experience U.S. culture at a Holiday Inn Express? Is basically that what was happening?
I don't know.
And then Elaine Thompson got duped into thinking this was a great U.S. Icon, the Holiday Inn Expresses that we have. Is that what it was? Was it like a giant troll?
I have no idea.
Maybe it was a giant troll.
I have no idea. I can't follow all this stuff. I just think it's remarkable that we're there's a track and field athlete that is garnering this much attention still. It's incredible that this becomes a story. I don't know. Literally everything she posts now can turn into a story like that quickly.
So we're going to talk about Lausanne, but there's only 3 more Diamond Leagues before the final. And we know Sha'Carri's not running in Lausanne. The Paris Diamond League fields haven't been announced yet, which is wild. It's Wednesday. Doesn't mean on Saturday. We don't know who's there. And then there's one more in the beginning of September. Sha'Carri has said that she plans on continue running this season, but we don't know for sure yet because we haven't seen her name if she's actually going to Europe and they're going to compete in any of these remaining Diamond Leagues. Do you think we're going to see Sha'Carri in the Diamond League 100-meter final?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we might see some Continental Tours though too, because there's all sorts of other meets that are going on as well too. And yeah, we always focus on the Diamond Leagues because those are the big ones out there with the better fields. But there are going to be opportunities to run in Continental Tours. But I don't know. It would make. I mean, both paths would make sense to me. If she wants to just shut it down and get ready for the next season, that makes sense. And if she wants to keep going now that she had the long break and then one race and she wants to run again, that makes sense to me too. She's in an interesting spot. It's like there's no playbook for how to handle this.
Yeah.
There's really no, you ran this race and then there was this huge break. You know, you were at the peak of your powers, you had the suspension, and then now you're coming back later. So I have no clue. I don't know what they're working off of either.
Do you think she would race the Jamaicans again this year? Or do you think she's gonna be like, I don't want that? You think she will?
Wait, do I think it'll happen or do I think she'd be willing to? Do
you think it will happen?
Well, she's not in Lausanne, right? So there's only one more chance. I would say probably no.
I mean, there's Paris is the last chance, I guess.
Yeah. Is that there are diamonds associated with that one though?
Yeah, there's a diamond. There's a Diamond League Women's 100 in that one.
Yeah. I would guess people would really want her to run there.
Yeah.
Meet directors want her to run there, and they would pay a lot of money for her to show up. So I just think odds are no, just because that's usually how the way these things work out. And we had the one race in pre, and that was more the exception than the rule, I think. Although women's 100 is always really good at not avoiding each other. That's why I've loved the women's 100 even before this era.
How fast do you think Sha'Carri will run in her next 100 meters, wherever it happens? Whether it happens in a Continental Tour this year, a Diamond League this year, or beginning of next year? How fast do you think she runs?
10.85.
Okay.
That'd be the pick.
So, like, pretty decent. You think she runs?
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I think she'll be.
Okay.
I think she'll be.
You don't think it'll be like a? You don't think it'll be like an 11.0 or a 10.9?
No, because I go back to that 2019 season, and I know, hey, that's going way down in the archives, and that was. But there's not a lot of years to pull when you're looking at her career because she hasn't been running at the pro level that long. But in 19, she ended that year struggling at USA's, and then she comes back in 20 and late start obviously because of COVID and stuff, but she went right into a 10.94, right? And then ended the year with a wind aided 10.83, and then also ran 22 flat in the 2. So I think she'll be bounce back fine once she gets the opportunity.
It'll be exciting regardless of whatever she does, right? We're going to want to see it. We're going to want to see her succeed. We're going to want to see her fail. That's what you call an attraction athlete, right? You want to see them win. You want to see them lose. So, there's a famous bowler. There's a famous bowler who was really viral, went viral on ESPN, where he did a weird chant and he retired. And his quote after retiring, when he did his last bowl, I know I'm talking about bowling, he said, "Hate me or love me, you watched." And that was his last line. Just it's a good point. Hate me or love me, you watch. And I think that's what Sha'Carri is. Hate me or love me, you're going to watch. So that's what sport needs.
Let's go to Lausanne. As we mentioned, we'll be live tomorrow, 2:45 Central, to recap it. Let's start first with that women's 100. What do you expect to see of Elaine Thompson-Herah, Fraser Price, Shrika Jackson, the big three from Jamaica? Marie-Jose Tallou is in there as well. Is the world record vulnerable, Gordon?
Well, I keep on predicting every time for a lot of these sprint events. I keep on predicting a disappointment, right? I'm waiting for because you don't want to expect something and then you get the opposite and then you feel really deflated. So I always expect negative And then when we see a 10.54, I'm like, whoa, that was awesome. I thought it was only going to be a 10.7 race. So I'm tempted to say that again. I think we're going to get disappointed and get a 10.7. Everyone's going to be thinking world record, but then it turns out to be a 10.7. And we're like, But I also could be like, hey, maybe we do see a new PB from her and see a 10.50 or something like that. And she keeps riding this train. I guess, what is your mentality, right? You just won an Olympic double. You just ran 10.54, an incredible PB. You just like silenced the loudest voice in the room in Sha'Carri. Like, what else does she have to prove, right? I guess the ultimate thing to prove is run 10.48. But
yeah,
I always think about this with athletes when they're at the very top. Like when Rudisha was on his run, Mo Farah was doing his thing. And you could think about that for like current athletes. Like what does Sydney McLaughlin have to prove now? She just broke the world record and won Olympic gold. When you're at the top, what motivates you? And for some athletes, I guess 10.49 is what motivates her.
Yeah. And there's no guarantee you're going to get back to this spot again. Now, I don't know if that's how she views it or pro athletes in general view it, but that's the reality. There's no guarantee that these opportunities are going to be here again when you're in this good of shape. So I think you go for it. The question is, you're dealing with 5/100ths of a second at this point. So everything needs to go perfect, but also conditions need to be perfect.
Yeah.
And fast track at pre, you had the tailwind. You could have more of the tailwind here, and you have a plus, right at 2.0 and get an even better set of conditions. But odds are that stuff evens out at a certain point. Competition will still be good because she's going to, with Fraser Price right there, she's going to have someone pushing her. She's going to have someone who's a fast starter right next to her. I just think it's great, and we shouldn't take for granted that this is happening, because you have the two of the best in the world in the women's 100s going at it time and time again. Now, Thompson Hara's obviously separated herself, but if we got this in any other event, like the women's 100 has been doing this for years. We just haven't really been paying attention. And if this type of thing happened in the men's 100, like imagine if Bolt and Blake just went at each other after the Olympics, after the summer, which didn't happen. And you had them barely racing and people making the argument that it was actually good for the sport because when they did race, it was special. No, this is good. No. They're both amazing. I love to watch them run. Let's see them do it again in Lausanne. The world record, I think, is in play. It has to be if you're 5/100ths away. But as I mentioned, the conditions need to be very favorable for it to happen. But I'm not counting out Thompson Hara with anything this year.
Okay. You ready for my take? This is what's going to happen.
Okay.
I think Shelly-Ann beats Thompson Hara.
Well, that was you're 1 meet behind me. You're 1 meet behind me.
I know, but I'm going for it now. I think Shelly-Ann beats Thompson Hara. I think it's a 10.7 race.
Okay.
That's what I think.
This is literally exactly what I said for pre. The difference was, and it was a 10.7 race for everybody except Thompson Hara, who made it a 10.5 race. I'm done picking against her. I'm gonna pick her to win. I don't think world record. I don't think, but
no. I was looking at the weather. It's gonna be cold.
There you go.
The Thursday forecast: high of 74, low of 53.
Yeah,
I feel like that's it's gonna be at night, right? So it's gonna be it's probably be like 60s because it'll be nighttime. The sun will be set. It's not gonna be hot. You need to be hot. I feel like we're gonna be disappointed. I do think though it's not out of the question. I think we have a chance to see it potentially get close to it in the Diamond League final. I think Elaine Thompson will be on all cylinders there. So,
I just think,
and she's going to want to win the Diamond League because she doesn't have a bye. So
the thing that's working for her is she can taste it now. She's that close to it, and it's different. But 10.54 versus if she had just run another 10.6 at pre, which would have been an amazing time. But if she ran 10.64 instead of 10.54, I think she probably would be looking at it different. But now everything looks like an opportunity. And I think that's going to be the motivating factor, because that's the unreachable mark that we thought was out of range for everybody. And now she could do it. And I don't think you want to waste those opportunities or assume that they're going to come later on in your career, because they may not. Men's 400. Let's talk about this one. Warholm will be in the building running a flat 400. His PB is 44.87. Isaac McWalla has the fastest season best in this field of 44.47. So if Warholm runs 44 low, which I think everybody believes he's capable of, he's going to be in contention for the win and likely will win. But what do you expect to see from the 400 meter hurdle world record holder in the flat 400, Gordon?
Well, it depends on what lane he's in, right? They got to make sure they put him out in lane 7, 8, or 9, because that's going to be key to him running an incredible mark, obviously. Obviously he's going to PB. His PB is 44.87. He run faster than that. I think he runs 43 seconds. But again, the weather. Really? I'm looking at this weather. I'm becoming a weather guy. It's not that hot, a little cold. Also, Warholm though doesn't care about weather. He runs fast in the rain, shine, or whatever. According to science, he should be able to run 42.77. But not everyone believes in science these days, so maybe he doesn't run 42.77, and maybe he just runs a simple 43.8.
I mean, 43.8. 43.8 makes sense, because if you run 45 in the 400 meter hurdles, you take those barriers away and you could run fast. But let's not underrate just how amazing that would be. That 43.85 is the world lead. You think he can run the world lead?
Yeah, I think he can run the world lead.
That's crazy. If he does that, that's...
Is the 400 meter hurdle /400 double possible at Eugene?
I did not look at that. I know it was... Oh, you're talking about Worlds or Trials? You're talking about Worlds.
Worlds.
I haven't checked that. Stay tuned for my next adventure into the schedule. Hey, I'm with it. I hope it is. I hope he does it.
The thing is, what can Warholm do in this race that would be a wow moment? Because I feel like even if he runs 40, even if he runs the world lead, it won't feel like a wow moment. Be like, okay, yeah, well,
no, that's a wow moment. That's a wow moment, because then you're getting because then you're getting into the realm of this. It's sort of the Sifan Hassan thing of just dominance across a variety of events. Just as the 1500 is vastly different than a 10,000. I know she didn't win the 1500, but in Doha she won both those events. The 400 flat and the 400 hurdles is nuts. And if he runs faster than anybody did this year in an Olympic year, I know it wasn't the fastest year for the men's 400 in history, but this was an Olympic year where a lot of people were going for it. And if he ends the year with the fastest time, that's a wow. I think anything under 44 is incredible, even though we should brace ourselves for that, because running 45 high with hurdles indicates, as you mentioned on the IAAF scoring charts, that he can run 42 seconds. I don't think those charts are going to hold up. I just want to say that.
I feel like you're easily wowed, because what did Rai Benjamin split in the 4x4 at the Olympics?
Was it 43.8 or something like that?
Yeah. 43.6. And you're like, were you wowed to that?
No, it's not a 4x4.
Yeah, that makes sense. He's good.
4x4 split. If Rai Benjamin ran that on a flat with in an open, then I would have said wow. I absolutely would have said wow. I think you're underrating how ridiculous it is that the best, and maybe it's because we've seen this with the women recently, so you're desensitized to it with McLaughlin and Muhammad potentially being that fast. But it still would be wow. Like if one of the hurdlers ran faster than Shawnee Miller-Weibo did, it would be a wow. And I think it would be a wow if Warholm ran faster than all the open 400-meter runners ran. It just would be.
But the reason for me it's not a wow is because he just ran 45 seconds in a 400 hurdle. So
right. Yeah.
It's not really that crazy. That's why it's not wow.
But you have to do it though still. I get it. I understand what you're saying. But you still have to do it. and the time still has. It's not. It's no longer a hypothetical. It's an actual. It's written down there for the record that he is a whatever 43.80 400-meter runner. That would still be a wow to me, just because you take it in totality, and it's almost a continuation. Like the fact that we're just like, well, because he ran 45 in the 400-meter hurdles, that's nuts that he ran 45 in the 400-meter hurdles. I think we have not paid enough attention to just how insane that is. Someone in the chat says he split 40. Benjamin split 43.4, 43.30.
Yeah, that's even crazier. I think it's like saying, would you be wowed if Noah Lyles in Paris runs 9.8? Would you say, wow?
No, because he's run around that.
Why? Because he's run 19.5, right? You'd be like,
no, when he's run 9.8, he's run the event and he's run 9.8 before.
I'm just saying though, but like my argument is like, if a 19.5 guy runs 9.8, it's not a wow. It's like that makes sense. If a 45-second 400-meter hurdler runs 43.8 on a flat, that's not a wow. That makes sense. To me, what would be a wow is he runs 43.3. That's my wow.
Here's the problem. You're taking the 45.94 as a license to extrapolate all these other performances, which is fine, and you can use your charts to do it. But again, it sort of underrates how ridiculous the 45.94 was and how special that performance was. So I will be wowed. Allow yourself to be wowed, Gordon. There's no shame in getting swept up by a historic moment.
Someone needs to take this podcast segment that we just did and dub every time we said the word wow with Owen Wilson saying wow in his movies. And that would be the greatest clip I've ever seen in my life.
I feel
that'll be fun.
I feel like anytime anybody crosses over and does spectacular things in an event outside of what their primary focus is, or where you thought their primary focus was, I think is just, it's rare. And I know we play all these hypothetical games. Oh, they did this, which means they could have done that, but they didn't. And it only counts if you do it. And those marks, those hypothetical marks, mean absolutely nothing. So to put a real mark, I just think would be crazy.
You're making it seem like he's like jumping into the marathon, into a weird event he's never done. He's literally jumping into the event that he trains for. He does the same type of workouts that a 400-meter runner does. He has to have good 400-meter speed. Like, that's what he is.
But he doesn't. You just said what his 400 PB is. He doesn't race it that often. I understand that he's running a lot of 400.
He's training like a 400-meter runner, so it's not going to be foreign to him of how your body reacts to 400 meters of running. I'm just saying you shouldn't be wowed with the 43.8. You should be like,
okay, so
great job.
Only a world record.
That makes sense. No, I think 43.3. 43.3 is a wow. 43.3 and faster is a wow. Because again, 43.8 is not wow. Stop. It's what he should be doing.
When's the last time someone's held the world lead in the 400 and the 400 hurdles at the end of the season?
I don't know.
Well, but that's wow. Go look it up. That's a wow. Then
that's a stupid. No, I'm not going to look that up. No, that's like saying when's the last time someone has ran fast on a Tuesday at 4 p.m. on Eugene soil.
No, it's not. You've extrapolated all these 400-meter performances out of people, but they haven't actually done them. Because you're basically saying, well, Ryan Benjamin could have done that in the past, or Donovan Brazier could have run this in the past, or Thingmo could have done that in the past. But until they actually do them, it doesn't count for anything. And the fact that no one's done it, I think, is noteworthy.
I don't know. Ryan Benjamin literally split 43.34. I know it's a 4x4 split, so you have a little running start, but like,
yeah, it is.
Warholm beat him like transitive property 43.3.
And you know,
again,
but here's the thing though. Ryan Benjamin's a wow too. More than one thing can be a wow. You don't get it. There's no quota on wows every year. You can use as many as you want, and more than one thing can be a wow. I think if he does the world lead, it's a wow. You're only going to be wowed if he beats the point tables, which means he needs to run 42.76 recording.
I'm laughing every time you say the word wow now.
Wow.
We said that we've said that way too many times in this segment. We should just move on.
You're the one who started it. Okay.
I know.
Let's real quick, let's just do all these together here. Men's 200 with DeGrasse, Curley, Gardner, and Kenny B. 3K has Ingebrigtsen, McSwain, Borrega, Med, Fisher, and then women's 400 hurdles, Bull, Little, and Muhammad. What stands out there to you?
I think we get the 200 we've been waiting to get from Curley, and I think we get it. We've been waiting for it. You see his 400, you see his 100. He has yet to put together that 200. We're like, he should be amazing at the 200 because clearly he has that range, but he has yet to master it. And maybe this is the moment where he throws down that 200 we're waiting for, and he runs his 19.8 or 19.7, and we're like, whoa. And then we're like, wow, that's the wow. So that's what I'm excited for in the 200 is maybe this would be Curley finally putting that check mark next to the 200 that he hasn't been able to do just yet.
Mm-hmm. All right. That women's 400 hurdles is going to be fun. I want to see Bull jump in there against Muhammad and Little, who ran against each other last week at Pre. So that'll be a fun one to watch. But as you said before, we'll go live right after the meet, 2:45 Central Time on Thursday. FloTrackPodcast@gmail.com is the email address. Thank you to Colt for producing today. Thank you to my co-host Gordon. Thanks everybody for tuning in live. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
Wow.